Lesson 4. The French and Dutch in North America. Vocabulary. Northwest Passage. Monopoly. Royal Province. Academic vocabulary. Eventually. Relationship. Unlock the big question. I will know the key events surrounding the establishment of French and Dutch colonies. France and the Netherlands first sent explorers to North America to find the Northwest Passage. They were searching for a westward sea route across the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific Ocean. Sailing above North America would be quicker than traveling around South America. They hoped to find a faster trade route from Europe to Asia. Explorers from many European countries tried for hundreds of years to find the Northwest Passage. Although these explorers failed, some realized the value of North America's natural resources. The French explore North America. Giovanni da Verrazzano was Italian, but he explored North America for France. In 1524, he sailed along the coastline from what are now North and South Carolina up to Nova Scotia in Canada. He claimed this region for the French king Francis I. Verrazzano's brother made a map of the area and called it New France. 10 years later, Jacques Cartier went to the northern part of New France in what is today Canada. His task was to search for gold, spices, and the Northwest Passage. Iroquois Indians in the area told Cartier that he would find gold, silver, and spices if he traveled west. Cartier and his crew explored the Canadian coast. They then sailed west up the St. Lawrence River as far as the area that is now the city of Quebec. The French explorer had to turn back there, however. He had angered the Iroquois, and the winter was too cold. 1. Reading check. Analyze the image. Explain why explorers had difficulty in finding the Northwest Passage. In 1541, France decided to establish a colony in New France. Rival Spain was already claiming land in North America. Cartier traveled with a group of French colonists and again reached the Quebec area. The colonists built a settlement there. Cartier thought he had found gold and silver and returned to France. His find, however, turned out to be worthless rocks. Although the first French colony eventually failed, the fur trade with the North American Indians began. Beaver and other kinds of fur were greatly prized in Europe. Fur hats were a very popular style in Europe at this time. Some companies in France held a monopoly on the North American fur. They were the only companies that had permission to trade with the Indians for the furs. The fur trade was not a free market system in New France, as the tobacco trade was in Jamestown, for example. Samuel de Champlain worked for some of these companies. In 1608, Champlain traveled to New France. He helped establish a trading post called Port Royal. Champlain also worked hard to gain the trust of the Huron Indians he traded with. Because of the success of the fur trade, this became the first successful French settlement in North America. Then Champlain established a fort and named it Quebec. 2. Reading check. Work with a partner to complete the chart. Wars and settlement in New France. The colony of New France grew slowly. War between France and England began in 1627 and discouraged more settlers from moving there. War between the Iroquois Indians and the French and their American Indian trading partners also discouraged settlement. The Iroquois Indians had acquired firearms through trade with Europeans along the Hudson River. They fought with France and their Huron Indian fur trade partner to the north for control of the fur trade in New France. After a major attack on the Hurons by the Iroquois in 1648, the Hurons moved to land further north. As Iroquois territory expanded, other woodland Indian groups were pushed west. The Lakota, Sioux, moved across the Mississippi onto the Great Plains. Word-wise. Homonyms. The word roam means to travel over a large area without a definite direction. It is a homophone of the word Rome, the city in Italy. Homophones are words that sound the same but have different meanings and spellings. By the 1660s, just a few thousand French people lived in New France. Some French settlers built farms and villages and raised families. Others roamed the land, trading for furs. Missionaries arrived to try to convert American Indians to Christianity. In 1663, the French king, Louis XIV, took control of the colony. He made New France a royal province. The king selected a governor of the colony who followed the king's commands. Unlike the self-governing systems in the British colonies, New France, as well as New Spain, were ruled more strictly by monarchs in Europe. The settlers in these colonies did not have a voice in the government. Louis XIV sent soldiers to New France to fight the Iroquois. After peace was made with the Iroquois, more settlers began moving to New France. The French continued to explore North America. Robert de La Salle claimed the Mississippi River and its valley for France in 1682. He named the area Louisiana after Louis XIV. La Salle returned 2 years later to set up a French colony at the mouth of the Mississippi River. This location would allow French ships to attack Spanish ships sailing to and from Mexico. It could also stop the English from moving into the area. Finally, furs could be shipped down the river from the north. Unfortunately, La Salle and his boat La Belle sailed past the Mississippi River and was shipwrecked off the coast of what is now Texas.